to the book talk of my book, Sensemaking. Let's start warming up with a little video. Oops. As usual, there is a problem. I'm sorry. Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be today with you to talk a little bit my book. I'll need some slides, and then I can get rid of the sharing the screen. But I think some slides are going to, to give you an idea about two things that I would like to present. The first one is the making of the book, which was quite an adventure for me. It was my 7th book, and it took me some years since 2017 and some movings around the planet. And I would like to share with you about, the making of. And then we will move to the book inside. The book itself. It's going to be just in a nutshell, because I don't want to, to make you think that everything is going to be said about the book. So it's just like a teasing, But let's start with the making of the book. And the making of the book is actually, illustrated by, summarized by 3 Greek words. And the words are, I know you are familiar with all of them, and especially the third one, pandemic. I think we are having quite an experience of living global disease. But the other 2 words are Epiphany and Sabbatical. And let's start by the Epiphany, which is, it's an aha moment. And my aha moment happened in 2017 in winter time. And so please make up in your mind, the image. Imagine that we are in a park in a small city in Germany called Wiesbaden, which is close to Frankfurt. And that I'm sitting in that bench there, thinking about my own life. There are some moments that you are alone and reflecting about your life. And it's not very uncommon to face a situation that you have to decide if you are going to ignore, the need for change, or you are going to go on, just carry on, business as usual, or you are going to make some drastic changes, not incremental changes, but something, very drastic in your life. And I use when I'm talking with teams in organizations and corporations, facilitating workshops. This aha moment, the epiphanies, I always tell people that it's useful to think about a metaphor or an analogy of the three birds. That's one of my favorite analogies, this one. The first one, it's the ostrich. And it represents that the negation or the ignorance, the need that we have to evolve, we have to jump. Otherwise, we are going to go into a process of disappearing, of decadence. The other one is the chicken. The chicken is recognized for its very reactive behavior. I mean, chickens do not actually can make the best use of their wings, And so the incremental changes represented by the erratic chicken flight can lead us to a stagnation. And the third one is represented by the eagle and its ability to fly, high and to change the environment completely and look for new directions. So in Wiesbaden in 2017, I had this moment, and I called it my Wiesbaden Epiphany. And I decided that it was time to do like the eagle. And inspired by the flight of eagle, I changed my life. I immigrated from Brazil, from Rio de Janeiro to Europe. And I decided to stay for a time in Lisbon. And this is the second word of my my making of the book of Sensemaking. The sabbatical, as you know, is a period of leave from customary work that you use sometimes to reinvent yourself. And in my case, I used the sabbatical for academic research project, which was, oriented by three key words: leadership, communication, and purpose. It happens that I am a social entrepreneur. I am an Ashoka Fellow, as you probably know, but I am also a management consultant, and my specialty is strategy and communication and marketing. And I was really, craving to learn more in depth about the state of art of communication, and communication linked to leadership and purpose-oriented organizations. So these keywords were my obsession during almost 2 years in my academic research project. But I had something else so important as the research, which was, I started yoga, and it was really a transformation of my life. I mean, I wish I could, find out the benefits of yoga early in my life. So it was a wonderful period of time in Lisbon, a magical city. I do recommend, if you have after the pandemic, if you are planning to travel to somewhere, go to Lisbon, go to Portugal. It's a wonderful country. Well, but then the third word happened, the pandemic. And as you know, I don't have to explain you about that. We are having a situation, and I'm sure that soon we will get most of the planet vaccinated, and we are going to go for another phase. But during the pandemics, I decided that I was going to wrap up my sabbatical writing a book. But I was, looking for something different. I want to write a book, not as an academic, not as a consultant, but I want to write a book of mission. And why would like to write a book with the mission? Because I'm really concerned about what we could call the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. I think the pandemic, it's in such a way delaying our challenge to face the 4 horsemen of apocalypse. The first one is a climate crisis. The second one is the environmental damages that our species is causing to the planet. The third horseman is the unsustainable social inequality and social injustice. And the fourth one, it's the erosion of the civic trust in democratic institution, which is well represented by the polarization that we are having, especially in terms of the politics. Well, my book, in a nutshell, it's something that I think it would be useful after the post-pandemic world, because it could be a sort of tool to face the challenges that the four horsemen of apocalypse represented. Otherwise, if you do not face these challenges, I think we are going to be in a very, very bad situation. I think after the pandemic, so we will feel a little bit relieved. However, if you delay more, we are going to have problems. So, in a nutshell, my book aims to show that there is a choice that we have to make in terms of leadership. We have been experiencing a kind of mindset, leadership mindset, over the last 2,000 years, which basically a centralized and hierarchical management mindset. And I think we have to quickly to change our mindset to what I call sense-make leadership. And to talk about that, let's go to the second part of the book, which is to look inside. Of course, you can go to the Amazon and check there. There is something already open there. But in a nutshell, and I think I'm running out of time, this is a book which takes into account the communicative constitution of organizations. Well, it's a little bit weird for some people to talk about a constitution, communicative constitution of organization. What the hell is that? Well, I collected some, this is actually a new paradigm of management, of organization leadership, which is called the CCO, and it's to take into account the communicative constitution of organization. In a nutshell, we could have some slogans to translate, the CCO paradigm. Communications, first one, it's my favorite one. Communication organizes the organizations. Leaders cannot not communication. Look, it's a very interesting double negation. Leaders cannot spare, be very effective in terms of communication. The third one is strategic communication. It's too important to be left to the communication professionals. I mean, people in leadership role, they cannot just outsource, communication for the guys who are the experts. The fourth one is the art of communication is the language of leadership. So if you want to be a leader and a sense-make leader, you have to be mastering the art of communication. And the last one, a communicative leadership facilitates the co-creation of a sense of purpose. This marvelous, wonderful word, it's very important, and it goes throughout the book, Purpose. Okay, in a nutshell, as you remarked, I love pictures, and you are going to find out almost 100 illustrations in my book. It's a very fun work. The idea was to give people something that, they even don't have to read every page to get the main ideas, but they can browse and the pictures will talk by themselves. And what is the difference, the most crucial difference between command and control leadership and sense-make leadership? For the guys who are the believers, of the communication is a tactical tool, they think that people is just there to receive the orders, just to follow the scripts, And after that, you just, have to take care of the KPIs and, all these jargons of, management. In this context, the communication is just a tactical tool to best manage people. On the other hand, leadership, sense-make leadership is aware that communication is organizes the organization. So he understands that people must be facilitated in terms of keeping a conversation. Otherwise, you are going to have a silent organization, a role organization which will just follow scripts, will have much more difficult, to deal with the exponential complexities that we are going to face. Like, for example, like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. So in a nutshell, communication, it's not something tactical anymore. From now on, communication is a strategic function that leadership people must be proficient and must master it. So my book is, in fact, a sort of knowledge tool for people in leadership role who wants to deal with the challenge of mindset transformation of him, herself, and also of the team. So the most important thing is to aware that when you are in a leadership role, you are in charge, you are responsible for facilitating and helping people to change their mindset. And that is what's going to drive us to a society where everyone is a change maker. So guys, that's it. Strategic communication for systems change. This is my contribution. I hope you can enjoy it. So now I'm going to stop share my screen. And still everyone there?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So now we have Araceli. You are hosting there. So please, can you manage the key A session, please?
This is Marina. I've actually taken over from Araceli, and anyone with questions or comments, please feel to go off mute or write it in the chat.
Hi, Kim.
Ricardo, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Diane.
If there are 3 things that you think a leader needs to keep in mind, other than the importance of needing to communicate effectively to change mindsets, what are the top 3 things that you think are the keys to, other than the leader knowing, what are some of the how-tos?
Well, Diana, I think a leadership role nowadays, it's someone who is aware that more and more we are going to face in what I call exponential complexity situations. So in situations like that, now we are living now at the pandemics, no one actually knows exactly what to do. So it's a situation that the leadership role recognizes as that we are not anymore operated in a comfort zone. We are not even operating in a planet change zone. So we are operating in a terror zone. So in a situation like that, I would say that the leadership has to bring to people a sense of calm. So the ability to understand that everybody is feeling such a uncertainty, insecure in a situation of terror, demands that leadership role is able to bring people some sort of calm. This is the first thing. The second one, the leadership, people in leadership role has the ability or to keep the courage and to pass people, a sense that we can have enough courage to face the situation. So it's somehow we are gonna, it's different from command and control. When you know about what to do, or at least you think you are the savior of the situation, and then you tell people that they should do that. So when it's different, you are not going to tell people what they should do. You are going to calm them, and you are going to give them a more sense of courage. And the third thing, this third C, if you will, it's the ability to keep people in a conversation, to facilitate a conversation. So if no one knows exactly what to know, because we do not have a script for dealing with a situation like that, so we have to sit together and to engage into a conversation to make sense of the situation. That's why the book is called Sensemaking. So the leader is able to help people to sense make of the complexity, unlike command and control, who is the savior, and the guy tells people what to do. The leader in a command and control situation, he takes, or she takes a very complex situation and he manipulates, the truth in such a way that he says to people, no, it's not that complexity. We are going to sort it out. It's very easy to sort it out. And so complexity, it's translated in a very simple thing by command and control leaders. And generally, they put it at 140 characters in a tweet. And then the sense-make leadership, with the conversation, he's able to facilitate, make sense of the complexity. And then it comes the fourth C, which is the cooperation, is the collaboration, or co-create a solution and a plan to face the problem, the complexity that we are engaged to.
Thank you, Ricardo. And there's a question and a comment from Jennifer White saying she absolutely agrees. Thank you for your work. But do you have any advice about how to make the business case of visionary communication to leaders, particularly in higher ed? There's a lot of tactical minded people who think vision is seen as too abstract and not practical enough. So how would you make the case within organizations that might have other people who might prefer a command and control situation?
Well, Jennifer, thank you very much for your question. But I'm sorry for the organizations, for the leaders who are going to be stuck with the command and control. One of the things that I'm still very sad about is that the majority of people in leadership role in corporations still idolizes the book, The Art of the War. The Art of the War is actually the Bible of command and control. And most of the managers, CEOs, they still think that it's very useful for our work. But actually, they are absolutely in a cognitive dissonance with the times that we are facing. The complexity, the four horsemen of the apocalypse. So if you are in charge of organization and believe that the command and control, it's going to work for you, for the long term, well, it's up to you, but probably what is going to happen is that your organization is going to disappear.
Okay, take note, higher ed, get with the program. Another comment and question from Laura Murphy from Tulane. Thank you, Ricardo. Appreciate the 3 Greek words in the 4 Horsemen. And specifically, do you see overlaps with your book, Sensemaking, and the Theory U process?
Well, thank you very much, Laura, but I don't know Theory U process. I'm sorry. But I have to acknowledge my ignorance. I don't know it. I will search for it. I'm taking note here. We are always learning.
Yes, and again, appreciation from everyone that you were able to reschedule today, and thank you. Any other final comments or questions? Oh, look, a question from Ken. What part of the experiences through the process of being an Ashoka Fellow, how did that contribute to your idea about the book?
That's a very great question. Thank you very much for mentioning that. You know, actually, what happened to me is that I am one of the Ashoka Fellows of the very first cohort. I was selected as a Ashoka Fellow in the very distant year of 1988, December. And I'll probably had at least 8 hours of interview with Bill Drayton. And I tell you, by that time, I was considering, I didn't know what to do about my life in terms of going, shall I go to carry on my studies at university, PhD, or shall I go to a computer manufacturer? I really was a little bit lost because, somehow, as I told you, the book is a mission. That's me, Since I was a young guy, I was, driven by purpose. Just a career or just, some kind of prestige from professional career. It's not the kind of thing that I would like to do. And Ashoka came to me when I was coming back from Brazil after 2 years of backpacking here in Europe, with a time that I spent for learning different cultures and here in Europe, I saw a lot of activists, social activists, who were actually people with a technical background like me. I am an engineer, and I'm not very keen in discussing ideology and politics like that, but I do enjoy discussing policy making. And I found out here in Europe that a lot of people with technical background, could influence policy making. And then in my conversations with the Ashoka team in Brazil during the selection, and especially with Bill Drayton, I mentioned the Institute of Technology for the Citizen, which I was still envisioning as a kind of a crazy project. And when I talk about this project to Bill Drayton and the other Ashoka teams, Ashoka fellows, Ashoka people who were at the selection committee, things was becoming clear that was not a dream, it was a vision, and it was feasible, So it's very important because nowadays I am a consultant, a management consultant, but I have also skin in the game of making things happen. And it started because of Ashoka and because they gave me support for 3 years so I could found in Rio de Janeiro the Institute of Technology for the Citizen.
Amazing. Thank you for asking that question. What an incredible story. And we're seeing comments saying, wow, just such a long history and lineage of Ashoka Fellows. And Laura Murphy has also sent follow-up information on the Theory U, and I'll email it to you, Ricardo, as a follow-up.
Thank you very much.
So I think we are at time. I just wanted to send huge appreciation and thanks to Ricardo for his incredible contribution. And thank you for being an Ashoka Fellow and sharing this new leadership paradigm. And we look forward to checking out the book.
Okay, thank you very much, you guys. It was an honor to be together with you. And I'm going on with my book tour. There are many countries, especially with the Ashoka community, that I'm going to give a talk about my book and my experience, and especially look into the future, how we can make it really, social entrepreneurs more knowledgeable, more proficient in terms of using strategic communication. If you don't have any kind of asset, if you have just a last dollar, so invest it to gain proficiency in communication. You know, it's going to make a lot of difference. Thank you very much, Juan.
Muito obrigado.
Obrigado.
Ciao a todos.
Tchau, tchau.
Ciao, ciao.